Picture two grandmothers who aren't even sister wives anymore, standing in the same kitchen during the same holiday season, each one quietly hoping for a little more time with the same set of grandkids. Nobody says it out loud, but if you've watched this family for more than 5 minutes, you can feel it sitting under the surface of every group photo. While the adults sort out who's speaking to whom this year, a brand new generation of Browns is already taking over the holidays anyway, knocking ornaments off the tree, stealing the spotlight in every photo, and in one case, carrying a name that almost nobody decoded right away. By the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that name means, who picked up on it first, and why Maddie Brown Brush eventually had to confirm it herself in the comments because nobody quite believed it at first. It's one of the quietest, most emotional details to come out of this family in the last 2 years, and it's been sitting in plain sight on a newborn's birth announcement since the day it was posted. But to actually get there, we need to meet these kids first, because right now, the Brown family tree has more grandbabies running through it than most casual fans can keep straight, and almost every single one of them traces back to just 2 sisters. Here's the part that genuinely surprises people the first time they hear it. Out of all of Cody Brown's adult children, and there are a lot of them spread across 4 marriages, only 2 have kids of their own so far. Maddie Brown Brush, daughter of Cody and Janelle, and Mykelti Padron, daughter of Cody and Christine. That's the entire list. Every cousin running through these family gatherings, every grandbaby Janelle or Christine post about online traces back to just those 2 sisters. And between them, the head count has quietly gotten away from casual fans. Let's start with Maddie's side. She married Caleb Brush back in 2016, and the 2 of them have spent the years since quietly building one of the busiest branches of this entire family tree. Their oldest is a son named Axel, who's 7 now, the kind of age where he's old enough to actually boss his little sisters around at family gatherings. Then came their daughter, Evangeline, who everybody just calls Evie. She's 5, and if you've seen any of Janelle's Instagram, you've probably already seen her face dozens of times without realizing it. After Evie came Josephine, who Janelle has nicknamed Joey, born in February of 2023, now a toddler who's old enough to chase her older siblings around, but still young enough to need to be carried half the time. And then, more recently, baby number 4 arrived, and she's the entire reason we're doing this video. So hang on to that, because we are absolutely getting there. Now, flip over to Mykelti's side of the family because it grew in a completely different shape. She married Tony Padron that same year, 2016, and their family expanded a little less predictably. Their first was a daughter, Avalon, born at home in the spring of 2021. Then, in November of 2022, Mykelti gave birth to twin boys, Archer and Ace. And this part is fully documented straight from Mykelti and Tony themselves, because TLC cameras were actually rolling for it. The boys turned out to be breech, so what was supposed to be a more typical delivery became an emergency C-section. Both boys came out completely healthy. Tony joked publicly at the time about finally getting some, in his words, male energy into the house after years of being outnumbered by girls. So that put Mykelti and Tony at 3 kids, right alongside Maddie and Caleb's 3 at the time, before that 4th Brush baby came along and tipped the scales. 7 grandkids from 2 sisters in under 4 years. If you've ever wondered why holiday photos in this family look like a daycare field trip, now you know. And it's worth pausing on just how differently those 2 households actually run day to day, because it shapes everything about how the holidays land for these kids. Maddie and Caleb have leaned into a fairly traditional, settled family rhythm. Same house, same school district, holidays built around grandparents driving in rather than the family traveling out. Mykelti and Tony, on the other hand, have spent these same years juggling 3 kids who are all close enough in age that, as Mykelti herself has said publicly, they'll always have built-in playmates, which sounds charming until you remember that means 3 kids under 5 at the same dinner table at the same time every single holiday. If that sounds like a lot of chaos for one set of holiday gatherings, you're right. And that's exactly where this story actually gets interesting. Because somewhere underneath all of that chaos, there's a quiet competition happening that nobody in this family has ever officially addressed, but that fans have been tracking for a while now, holiday after holiday. We're going to come back to that. Who's actually around the most? Which grandmother keeps showing up in photo after photo, week after week? Because the answer might surprise you. Hold that thought because it's going to matter a lot more in a few minutes than it sounds like right now. For now, let's talk about how this family actually spends the holidays these days, because it's not exactly the picture-perfect version a casual viewer might imagine from the outside. Sister Wives fans already know this family has been through years of fracturing. Christine left the marriage back in 2021. Janelle and Cody ended their spiritual marriage not long after. Mary and Cody called it quits as well. By the time Maddie and Mykelti's kids started arriving in real numbers, the original 4-wife household that built this entire show was essentially gone. And yet, somehow, the holidays kept happening anyway, just smaller, just split up differently than they used to be. And this next part is genuinely documented, not a theory, not a guess. Back at the end of 2023, Janelle posted a family photo on Instagram showing herself with all 6 of her kids, their spouses, and her grandchildren. Everyone gathered together in coordinating colors for what turned out to be the very last full family holiday photo before everything changed. She wrote that she was grateful they'd taken those pictures because coordinating everyone's schedules these days had gotten so hard to manage. Nobody knew at the time just how much weight that caption was about to carry, because only a couple of months later, her son Garrison passed away that March. We're not going to dwell on the circumstances of that loss here. This family has already grieved that in public more than once, and it deserves gentleness, not replay. But it matters for where this story is going, because it quietly reshapes the way every single holiday since has felt inside this family. And it's a big part of why that 4th brush baby's name means what it means. Keep that thought parked right next to the other one. We're circling back to both. So with that loss sitting in the background, the next holiday season, the one we're really here to talk about, looked different. Quieter in some ways, louder in others, simply because there were now 6 little kids weaving through every gathering instead of 3. And this is exactly where the grandma rivalry starts to show up in the actual receipts, not just in vibes. Janelle has been, by a wide margin, the most visibly hands-on grandparent when it comes to Maddie's side of the family. She's posted herself cuddling Axel and Evie on Thanksgiving afternoon. She's shown up for a gingerbread house decorating with what she calls her Vegas crew. When Josephine was born, Janelle posted that she'd gone to meet the new baby and then headed straight home afterward to spend the rest of the day with Axel and Evie, captioning the whole thing with how good life felt in that moment. That's not speculation on my part. That's just sitting right there on her own page, post after post, for years now, for anyone who scrolls back far enough. Christine, meanwhile, has built an equally consistent but completely different kind of presence, and hers is centered on Mykelti's side. She lives about 20 minutes away from Mykelti and Tony in Utah, which fans have pointed out more than once gives her a serious built-in advantage in the grandma department. She joined joined a video call for Avalon's birth back in 2021. She was physically in the room alongside the midwife and Tony when Mykelti delivered the twins the following year. And so was Robin on a video call of all people, despite everything that's happened between Christine and Robin over the years. Christine even started calling herself Oma, fully leaning into the grandmother title, the same way Janelle leans into showing up for every single milestone she possibly can. It's also worth understanding why so much of this plays out on Instagram instead of on the actual show. Sister Wives famously airs months, sometimes closer to a full year, behind whatever is actually happening in these families' lives in real time. So by the time a season finally catches up to, say, Josephine's birth or one of these holiday gatherings, the family has often already moved through several more milestones in real life that fans have been watching unfold on social media the entire time. That gap is exactly why a casual viewer who only watches the show can feel a full season behind the conversation happening in the comment section of any given post. Keep that in mind as we get into the next part, because almost everything from here forward happened on Instagram in real time, long before it could ever make it onto a TV screen. So here's where this actually turns into a genuine debate, and I want to be upfront with you about something. Nobody in this family has ever ranked their own grandkids out loud, and they're never going to do that on camera. This next part is squarely fan territory, the exact kind of thing that gets argued about in Sister Wives forums every single holiday season without fail. Now, here's where fans on Reddit start to wonder out loud. Some fans think Christine wins this competition just on proximity alone, because 20 minutes down the road beats flying in for the big moments every single time. Other fans point to the sheer volume and consistency of Janelle's posting and argue she's just as embedded in these kids' lives, just spread across more distance to get there. And then there's a smaller, quieter thread of fans who've noticed something else entirely, that Cody himself is conspicuously absent from a lot of this grandkid content on both sides. Nobody's claiming to know exactly why, but if you've followed this family through its last few seasons, you already know his relationship with several of his adult kids has been strained for a long time now, tracing back to the COVID-era falling out with Garrison and Gabriel specifically. Whether that older tension has quietly carried over into how present he is as a grandfather today is something fans speculate about constantly in comment sections and forum threads, and it's something this family has never directly addressed on camera. So we're going to leave that one exactly where it sits, as an open question, not a conclusion. Hold that thought too, because the next part of this story actually leans the opposite direction, toward connection, not distance. What we can say for certain, because it's been posted publicly and confirmed by the people directly involved, is what happened in the months that followed that particular holiday season. On September 29th of 2024, Maddie and Caleb announced they were expecting their fourth child, due the following March. And true to form for this family these days, the entire pregnancy played out mostly in pieces on Instagram, the way most of these announcements unfold now that the actual show airs so far behind real time that fans often hear the news on social media long before any of it reaches a television screen. The due date came, the due date went, the baby did not. Fans started joking online that this kid was already showing personality before she'd even technically arrived. And then on March 14th, she finally did. Maddie posted the announcement the very next day, writing that her daughter had been, in her words, absolutely worth the wait, that she'd taken her time, and then, once she decided it was time, hadn't wasted a single second getting getting here. She named her Amelia Estelle Bresch. Here's where this gets genuinely interesting and where that earlier thread comes all the way back around. Now, here's where fans on Reddit started to wonder out loud almost immediately the second that name went up. Amelia didn't ring any obvious bells on its own. It didn't echo anyone else's name in the family the way some Brown grandkid names quietly do. But Estelle did something different. Somebody in the comments connected it to the Latin word stella, meaning star, and asked Maddie directly whether that middle name had been chosen as a tribute to her late brother. And this part is fully documented, straight from Maddie's own mouth. Not a guess, not a theory floated by a fan account. She answered the comment herself, plainly. That is exactly what it is. Here's why that single sentence lands the way it does. After Garrison passed away, several of his siblings got matching tattoos referencing a line from Dragonheart, one of his favorite movies growing up. To the stars, Bowen, to the stars. It became a quiet, private way for this family to carry him forward without having to say his name out loud every time the subject came up. And almost exactly 1 year after he died, on the anniversary itself, Maddie posted her own tribute to him, writing about how not a day goes by that she doesn't think of him, hoping he'd found whatever peace had eluded him here. 9 days after that anniversary post, she gave her newborn daughter a name that carries that exact sentiment forward into the very next generation of this family. And almost nobody outside the family caught it until a stranger said it out loud first. That's the detail I promised you at the very beginning of this video. It's not a scandal. It's not a confrontation. It isn't even really a secret, technically. It was sitting in a public birth announcement the entire time. It just took a stranger in a comment section to actually say the quiet part out loud before Maddie confirmed it herself. And once you know it, you genuinely can't read that caption the same way again. A grand entrance, worth the wait, arriving without wasting a second, and a middle name that quietly says, underneath all of it, you're still one of us, even now, even after everything this family has lost. Janelle, for her part, posted that same newborn photo on her own page not long after, just as smitten, just as proud as any new grandmother would be, captioning it with nothing but pure excitement for her newest granddaughter. No mention anywhere of the deeper meaning sitting inside that middle name. And honestly, that might say something on its own. Some things this family seems to have quietly decided don't need to be spelled out for an audience. They get to exist privately, fully understood by the people who already know exactly what they mean, while everyone watching from the outside gets the warm, simple version. So where does that leave this new generation heading into another holiday season? 7 kids now, likely more before too long if this family's pattern holds at all. Split between 2 sisters who've each taken a genuinely different path through a complicated family structure. Watched over by 2 grandmothers who are clearly, quietly competing for time, even if neither one will ever call it that out loud. And shadowed, gently, by a brother and an uncle who isn't there to see any of it grow up, but who somehow still shaped one of these kids' names before she'd even taken her first breath. That's the real story sitting underneath the cute Christmas photos and the chaotic Thanksgiving cuddles this family keeps posting. A family that keeps expanding, even while parts of it stay permanently broken, finding small, private ways to keep the people they've lost stitched into the people who keep arriving. And if you step back far enough, that's really the through line running underneath this entire family right now, not just this one holiday season. The marriages that built this show are gone. The brothers who used to fill out these family photos are down to fewer and fewer. And yet, every single year, a new car seat shows up in someone's driveway, a new name gets announced on Instagram, and the family somehow keeps finding a way to gather around a table anyway, even if it's 2 smaller tables instead of one enormous one. 7 kids in under 4 years isn't just a fun head count to track. It's this family quietly insisting year after year that it isn't finished growing, even after everything it's already lost. So here's what I actually want to know from you. Out of Maddie's crew and Mykelti's crew, whose kids do you think we're going to see the most of over the next year? On the show, on Instagram, wherever this family decides to show up next. Drop your pick down in the comments because I already have a feeling this is going to split the comment section right down the middle. And if you want to keep tracking every new arrival, every quiet tribute, and every bit of grandma rivalry this family throws at us going forward, go ahead and hit subscribe now because there is clearly no shortage of new Browns on the way.